Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Let's Talk podcast. My name is Kimisha Whitaker-Moore, and tonight I am joined by my co-host and son.
What up?
I'm also joined by my second co-host, big little brother Bo.
What's up? How y'all doing?
And so tonight will be a little different. Cam's gonna lead our conversation on tonight, and we're gonna get straight into it. Ain't nothing to do but to do it. So let's go, Cam. What you got for us?
Well, I got everybody picking the questions, but one question I want to know is how is my generation different from y'all's? So for instance, I'm 24.
Uh-huh.
So obviously my life is different from how is my life at 24 was different from y'all life when y'all were 24?
Baby, this is a whole podcast. You hear me?
Yeah.
Let me start out. The generation today, honestly, and I'm just going to be honest. There's more entitlement. There is a feeling of entitlement. There is more of, I don't think the work ethic is there, if I'm being honest with you. I think younger people, they really don't know what it means to work hard and do the things that are necessary that you have to do in order to be an adult. Now, I'm not saying that this is something for everyone, but I am saying this is something for the majority of. You guys are spoiled, and that is our fault as parents. I will say me. Let's just say that, me. I spoil my children. And honestly, it kind of led to a lot of feeling of entitlement. Like, you owe me, or, like, I owe you something. I owe you nothing. I gave life to you. So therefore, I don't owe you anything. But I feel like this is the difference between us and some of you. Because honestly, my father, I had my mom and my dad. He instilled a lot of things into me. There's at 16, we had to work. At 16, a lot of people don't work. But a lot of kids don't work. A lot of kids don't do anything. So have you ever seen a kid that is in high school, graduated high school, and honestly out in the real world and never had a job? Do you know what their resume looks like?
I do.
Junior high school, and that's it. And we're applying for a job. So they don't know the meaning of work. And once you decide to give a kid or a young male or female a chance, they will disappoint because they call in. I don't feel like it. I don't want to, and I don't have to, and all the things. And so that is, to me, some of the ways that we differ from generation to generation. What about you, Bo?
I completely agree with sometimes this sense of an entitlement, but then I have to pick and choose because I've seen some mature,
Mm-hmm.
early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Teenagers. I've saw some that are more mature than older people.
Mm-hmm.
I was having this conversation with someone saying that time, just because you're older, doesn't mean that you're mature.
Amen.
That doesn't, I mean, it doesn't come with time, but at the same time, it comes with experience, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Mhm.
Sometimes life teaches you things that you don't get just because you're 25 years old. You get on the maturity level that you are, and you're able to obtain that knowledge and then use it. Sometimes people are just not willing to use the information, the accessibility to things that, or take advantage of these things that because they're right there,
Mm.
versus having to be patient and persistent to get that opportunity.
Mhm.
Because nowadays, like you said, a lot of stuff is handed to them, generational or through the buddy system, versus having to be like, you know what, I'm trying to do this. I need to do this. And if I don't get it done, it won't get done.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of how it is. Not for everybody,
Right, for
but
sure.
you know what I'm saying, picking and choosing is kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? In my experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
So, do y'all see any similarities from when y'all was 24 to me now? Do I have anything that y'all had in similar when I was 24?
Yeah,
I
of
do.
course.
For
What?
sure.
Like what?
Like, no lie, there was 5 of us that grew up in the home. And if I'm being honest, we were spoiled. We were very spoiled. My mom, honestly, and my dad. My dad was the only one working. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. But there was nothing that we wanted. We had all the things what we asked for, whatever the case may be, but we worked for those things. So yes, we were spoiled, but we had to work for it. So we had a car like I think I had a car my junior year, senior year, stuff like that. You guys had that as well. Even though the car was like passed down from Kaylin to Chris to Cam, but it was still, you guys still had a car, 11th grade, 12th grade, whatever the case may be. So there was a couple of similarities. We wanted something, and sometimes we didn't have to work for it. My mom, she would just give it to us. But there was a couple things. What do you remember, Bo?
See, and yeah, that's like
He had everything.
even in the same home. And like my sister said, I was spoiled or whatever, but to a degree, what people are saying. But when I remember coming up, mom was working. When I came up, because the time frame is different.
It was.
The time frame was different. Mom, she was working. She was I want to say she was subbing and then going through to be a teacher, and then doing the social work at times, because I can remember her having some of the social work cases, and then I remember her telling me stories about different things that was going on, about how different kids were being treated, and
How
what I'm
old were
saying?
you?
Shoot, I had to be like that. That had to be like 9, 10, 11 or something.
So that was your younger part where we were older in our entire being. She
Yeah.
was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. See, for me, for me growing up, my mom was either going to school to be a teacher, subbing, nursing, or social work. So in my time, my mom was busy and she was doing that, and my dad was working. He was a provider, and then she was providing. And for most of my growing up, for the most part, I can remember me, you, Miaka, Tammy. Mom working in and out of town, social working, daddy working 12-hour shifts, until the point of like me being, this repeated itself until like, so I was 12, 13. So that's how, in my time, how it was.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like both of y'all are definitely, you are right. I feel like nowadays we feel more entitled to a lot of things, because I know people that work hard, but at the same time, I know a lot of people that are given just about everything. And they don't really know how to work for it. I used to, because I went to a school, Pleasant Grove, rich kids, rich families, stuff like that. So I would always be like, I would always think like, Jesus, that must be the good life. But as I got older, like, it's not really a good life, because once you get into the real world, there's no like, what knowledge do you have about doing stuff on your own?
Right, for sure.
So that's why I was just like, okay, that's a little bit different as I got older. But it was a good thing, though.
I've seen 21-year-olds come to the doctor's office. They can't even answer medical questions on their own. Their mom is answering those questions for them. And I'm looking at them like, you're 21, talk to me, But it's just that way. We've handicapped, as parents, we've handicapped our children a lot. And honestly, we've definitely done a disjustice. So can you function in the real world? Will you get out there and get lost? Will the real world chew you up and spit you out? Because you don't know how to deal with real things, we take pride in our children or people that we know being super book smart, because they're so smart, they're straight A students. But me personally, I feel like you need a little book smart and a touch of street sense. And it doesn't really have to be street sense, but I feel like you need to be knowledgeable of the world in order to be well-rounded. Because if all you know are books, you're not going to make it. And one example, I was in nursing school, and this one girl that was she was my partner. Now, when I tell you this girl was smart, she was straight A's. And I was not a straight A student, right? I had a lot going on. I couldn't study like I wanted to, but I'm just not a straight A student because I really didn't apply myself because I had a lot. She lived with her parents. But she was smart. I'm not going to even take anything away from her. She had no social skills, just straight book smart. Can't make it. Would never happen. So you have to be well rounded out here in order to survive. You can't just be like super book smart and not have any type of common sense or any type of like knowledge to the world. You will die out here in these streets.
Yeah, you will be a victim.
Yeah, for sure.
You're
Definitely going to be a
definitely-
victim on more than one occasion, on more than one situation. So you know, in life. So you really have to focus on, you know, kind of be well rounded. Kind of teach those kids that.
No, that's why I appreciate growing up the way I did because, you know, we got a big family
Yeah, for sure.
and I took something from everybody on things, what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
And it's like obviously, I feel like everybody in our family is smart.
Yeah.
You know, even though it's like me, I apply myself sometimes when I need to, but not
Yeah.
all the time. But like just having that outside world knowledge, not just in, you know,
Yeah.
in the book world.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's different.
It really is. Honestly, sometimes it's an indicator if you're going to make it, if you're not going to make it. You know what I mean? So I can teach you all the things that I can teach you. I can't make you do anything. And honestly, we get to a point, or children get to a point to where they feel like we don't need our parents because you don't know nothing. But everything is revolving.
Yeah.
What happened to me, what happened to you, happened to me. It's just in a different situation and in a different time. So we know things. And so when you choose not to listen, then what do we do with that? You know what I'm saying? Because we can tell you what not to do. We can tell you how to eliminate all of these issues and different things like that. And that's another thing. When I was coming up, did I want to listen to my parents all the time? No. But my parents had the fear of Jesus in me. And nowadays, these kids out here talking to their parents like they too. Or talking to their parents like, hey, who are you? You know, cussing parents and stuff out. I will not. No. And so I feel like, even with that, I feel like parents, this generation now, we want to be our kids' friends. We want to club together. We want to party together. We want to drink together. We want to smoke together. The kids are not respecting you. They're out here doing whatever they want to do. Honestly, number one, they're seeing you do it. So what example do they have? And this is what they know. So people talk about generational curses. I get it and I understand it. But somewhere, somehow, somebody has to break that cycle. And if your children are seeing what you do, and then they do it, and then they have kids, and their kids seeing what you do, and everybody think it's normal, who's going to break that? Somebody got to do something, because everybody is going to be, you know, they're like a family. They're on the system, or they out here doing whatever they want to do. And then they grew up like this. And so that's a normal situation. And so my kids grew up like this, and that's a normal situation. So their kids going to grow up like that. It's the same thing. Somebody has to do something different. Somebody has to want something different. So you have to have hopes, dreams, different things like that. And if you don't, then, you know, what are you doing? You know, and
Stagnant.
why not? You're staying stagnant. So, you know, as parents, you really need to invest in your children, especially in this generation, because kids in this generation, or young people in this generation, they know everything and they know nothing.
At the same time.
Yes, for sure. These are what I call smart dummies. You know what I mean? Because you know something a little bit about a little bit, but you don't know a lot about a lot, and you don't want to listen to people. And so at that point, you got to let them do what they do and learn how they learn and kind of go from there. But that's just my take. And again, this is not everyone.
Right.
This is some of your generation.
Okay, I got a question for that. So you said, you know, parents wants to be friends with their kids.
Uh-huh.
I got a question. So I know you don't smoke, you don't drink, do anything like that. But
Mm-mm.
is there a certain age that you would per se like have a drink with your kids?
No.
Or no, not at all?
No.
What about you?
Me, is there a certain age? Definitely. Of drinking age.
Yeah.
If I had a drink with my son, which I don't never really see that happening,
You never
he would
know.
have to be 21. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Now, occasionally, I don't drink wine often, but you know, sometimes, occasionally, you might have wine with a meal or something. So, 21. So Ryder, if at 21, okay, let's just put it out there. I'm 42.
We know.
My son is 6 years old.
Mhm.
So that gap is 36 years.
Mhm.
So at 21, at Ryder being 21, I would be 57.
Mhm.
At 57 and my son being 21, getting drunk with him is not something that would ever happen. But me having a drink with my son over dinner, or say over an accomplishment, or him turning 21 or something like that,
Or at a barbecue?
at a barbecue, I could definitely see that happening.
No.
I could see it happening. And the thing for me is this right here. Like I said, I am 42. Nephew, how old are you?
24.
You were born you were 24, right? Sissy, I know how old you are. But anyway, I say that to say this, even in a different, like, I graduated in the year 2000. My sister did before me. You a lot afterwards. To me, the year 2000 was right at the year where the turn just like, I don't know. It's the year 2000 is so much different than the 90s to me, and then different than what is now, because I can relate to me myself personally. I can relate to my sister's generation, and I can relate to my nephew's generation. I'm the youngest of 6.
But you still in your 40s.
I am.
Right.
But the year you came out of school, and this, let's put it like that. The year you came out of school
5
and
years before you.
5 years before me, that gap, that 5-year gap in everything, it seems more than just 5 years.
Mm.
Like, if I'm being completely honest, I'm an uncle. You're a mother, right?
Right.
I'm a father.
I'm an aunt.
Exactly.
Mm.
But it's almost like the difference in you or your generation versus me and my nephews. It was like, let's put it like, let's say you were the grandma.
Get to the point, bruh.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're the grandma.
Right.
I'm the uncle.
Uh-huh.
He's a nephew, but not the great uncle.
Uh-huh.
I'm the uncle. You're the grandma. That's the nephew. So I can relate a lot to him and relate a lot to you, because by me being the last one of the 6, I watched everyone and how they did what they did, how they did it. Not so that I wouldn't get caught, but just to be able to see it.
Okay.
And to see everything, how it's revolving around. And my nephew being the youngest of the 3, I can see that since everything is revolving around into a circle, I can see that same process repeating itself. So a lot of times for me, I sit back and I just watch, and I realize that our kids are a reflection of us at different times.
Right. So, right. So as Bo goes to Paul, Sally, and Jane's house, I'm going to go straight to your house. I'm the aunt that is not drinking, not smoking, not clubbing, not partying with my kids, with my nieces, with my nephews. I don't do it. I will not do it. And I feel like sometimes not sometimes, but I feel it's a little bit of a disrespect. Not even to me, but to them. Why would I party with 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds? I'm not doing that. I don't like that. And let's just be honest. I am different than you,
Exactly,
Tammy, and Bo, where they will joke and play and drink or whatever with y'all. They don't do that with me. And because I've not done that with them. And so I think it's just understood that Kimisha is not the one who does that. So you could do whatever you want because you're grown, but that's just not who I am. I'm not clubbing, partying, drinking, smoke. I'm not doing none of that with you because I just don't. And I feel, honestly, if we're being honest, as he says, I feel it is somewhat of a disrespect if it's just me to do it in front of my parents.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but that's just me.
But see, that's a preference of yours, and I understand
Absolutely.
that, because at the very same time, my mother and my father, where it is like, I'm not saying it doesn't make, because you do whatever you want to do. We're all our own individual people, and no peer pressure or anything like that.
Right.
But where it is, I can relate to someone more because I've been through certain things, or certain things that maybe you haven't seen. and certain things that they've seen and I've been through,
Mm.
I can relate to that. And my mom is a Christian lady now and everything.
Mm.
But my mom and my dad, I love them to death, but there are certain things that I went through with them and I experienced with them that you never did.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and I
I'm
didn't feel like
older than you. I
yeah,
was gone where you were there.
exactly.
Yeah.
And at that point, I don't feel like it was being that they were being disrespectful towards me or I was being disrespectful towards them because we were in agreement of whatever it is it was. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that, and that's why it's like to each his own.
Right.
That's just how I feel.
Right.
And you guys, I mean, it's just whatever you do because if we're being honest,
Mhm.
we're all different.
Right.
Where
we all-
you, Tammy, and Miyaka have things in common, I don't. So
Yeah.
I'm more so like the outsider when it comes to the group.
No, I think that's a personal. I think that's a preference with you because even with you being like you're different from us in that way of not drinking or anything
Right.
like that, we're all even as individuals. Me and Tammy are different. Me and Miyake are different. And
That's
we're
not what
all-
I mean. You know what I mean.
I know
You
what
know,
you
yeah.
mean.
So
But
don't
we're
be
different. But we're
right.
all different in different ways, and we relate to each other in different ways.
Absolutely.
That's just a preference in one way that we don't
right.
relate
Absolutely.
about.
That's all. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Yeah, but we do. We're just different, but we're the same.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's crazy too, because I guess that's why it was like the generation thing. Because
Mhm.
me, and like you said, it's respect thing, of course, but I really don't see a problem with it.
I totally
And like
understand that.
like obviously, like acting a fool, that's different.
Yeah.
But like sharing I just think of it as having a good time with
Right.
your child, or like obviously of drinking age, or just your family in general. That's how I look at it.
Right.
And obviously, you're different. You don't do that stuff, and it's just like you said, to each his own. But
Right.
in my opinion, I just look at it as like not
Right.
that deep, just having fun with family, pretty
I
much.
totally understand that. But honestly, if I were a drinker or whatever, maybe I would feel different.
Yeah,
but
no,
because I'm
yeah.
not, this is my take on it.
Right.
So who's wrong, who's right? That's just my take on it.
Yeah, don't
Because
think-
I am
yeah,
not.
Oh, yeah, I
nobody
think
wrong,
it's just a matter of opinion or preference. I don't think
Yeah.
it's a right or wrong answer.
Right. So yeah,
That's what-
that's all that it is.
That's good to know.
Mhm. You
another-
already know.
a good question. Another question for y'all. So, as y'all growing up, what were just like y'all's goals, and what did y'all want to be when y'all were growing up?
I always knew that I wanted to be a nurse. Like when I was a kid, I always knew I wanted to be a nurse because my grandfather was very sickly. And I don't remember a lot about him, but I remember him being sick. And I always remembered like they always took him to the doctor. He was very sickly, and I always wanted to help and do whatever. So I already knew that I wanted to be a nurse when I was young. Now, did I want to stop at that? No, because as I got older, I knew that I wanted to be a provider. But I stopped at the nursing world because I had my children. I had to do whatever I need to do. And then that's exactly where I kind of stayed. But yeah, I mean, I knew what I wanted to be when I was young.
Honestly and truly,
He wanted to be a rapper.
I didn't. I did. I mean, we went through that phase where we were doing the music and we was doing it in Oklahoma City and stuff like that. I always knew that I loved words.
Mm-hmm.
I always knew that I loved words, and I knew that I loved to talk. So
Amen.
I did like very early. I wanted to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I wanted to write a book, and my biggest thing was I always wanted to be like, okay, my family cool. I didn't look at it like a position of like what I wanted to do or how or what, you know what I'm saying, no occupation. I always just wanted to make sure that like, okay, my family got along, we loved each other, and that lesson was taught from this generation to the next. I took that from Uncle Kenneth because Uncle Kenneth told me that.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Kenneth told me that he was like, he told me one time, he was like, say, nephew, now this is going to be your job. You make sure the family stay together. You make sure your sisters, your brothers, everybody feel love. Like, because my Uncle Kenneth, he was the ultimate uncle. Like, he knew how to love, and then whatever else happened in the street and all that, he knew all about that too.
Mm.
And he showed me different aspects of living and all that. But my biggest thing was just that, like, that my family would always be together, that we would be connected, and that we would like show the same love one to another. And times change and people change, but the core of my belief not only was it to believe in God and to live right and all that type of stuff. It was that my family would love each other like I love them, or they would love each other like we love us. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's what I wanted.
That's what you want to be, a peacemaker?
I guess. I look at this because if we're being honest
Mm.
and we're being deep,
Mm.
what happened? I think what was I 18, 19 in Lake Ridge? You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to church
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
And when you came back home, I was crying, and it was this whole letter about this and about that. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember that? So, this letter was something had happened, not nothing really bad or whatever, but I was just some kind of way. Like I wasn't dealing with emotions well. You feel me? Like after bottling a lot of stuff up and exploding on people and being upset and mad and stuff like this or whatever. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I was just like, I think I wasn't praying like I supposed to be, not to say that I'm praying like I should be now, but I think then I was more vulnerable because I didn't really just know who I was. I didn't know what I was gonna do with myself. And y'all went to church and I think you forgot something. And when you came back, I was crying. I had wrote a letter, and this sounds crazy now because a lot of people don't know this. I was crying. I wrote this letter or whatever, and I don't know what came over me because it seemed crazy now. I told my sister, man, I just don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. Like in that moment, like I even hate to say it, in that moment, I felt like I contemplated suicide then,
Mm.
and I was just like, now I'm like, what for? What this or whatever, but. Then in my mind, my world was coming apart. I'm young and I'm not using my emotions well. And, you know what I'm saying? I look at it now and I'm like, oh man, I could have just, you know what I'm saying, just calmed myself down and chilled out and prayed about it and did that. But in that moment, it felt like everything was coming down. I didn't have control over nothing. I didn't know what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. And it just seemed like everything was closing in and maybe I wasn't listening to a negative energy, the devil or whatever, and I contemplated suicide in that moment. And you came home.
Mm.
I had the letter and everything wrote out. You came home. I don't know if we completely talked about it or if I just hugged you and I just cried for a minute, but if I never told you that in that moment I contemplated suicide, I don't. That sounds crazy to me now, but I know that I did.
Mm.
But we live and we learn, we get better and we do better.
Growth.
Yeah,
Growth.
that's what it was.
Sure. Another question I have is, besides y'all's mother and father, who did you? I feel like I know
Yeah,
who you're gonna
friend.
say, but who'd y'all look up to the most besides your mother and father?
For me, it's crazy, but it's not crazy. Uncle Ricky.
Yeah.
He was like one of the smartest men I knew. He would always he was the one uncle that would not make you, but encourage you to, get connected with your family, your roots, learn different things. I remember Uncle Ricky telling us to watch Roots. I'm like, I don't want to watch Roots. And he was like, you need to watch Roots because honestly, you will definitely understand what you didn't have to go through. I didn't have to go through in order to be here and do the things that you do. And so Uncle Ricky, honestly, he was one of the smartest men that I knew. I looked up to Uncle Ricky a lot. He would encourage us to make really good grades. He would give us like $5 per A, all the things. And so my uncles and my aunts, they were amazing. But if I'm just being honest, Uncle Ricky was my guy, And I always wanted to be like Uncle Ricky. I would always like brag on him because I'm like, he is super smart And then I'm like, yeah, my uncle lives in Houston. He does this, that. I didn't know what Uncle Ricky did. But to me, he was like the smartest guy ever. Now, if we're talking about like on my mom, that's on my dad's side. On my mom's side, it was always Uncle Kenneth,
Yeah.
Uncle Roy. So they were like my two hitters. But if I'm being honest, Uncle Kenneth was more so at the forefront, and Uncle Roy was right behind him. But because Uncle Kenneth just instilled family in us. No matter what was going on, this was so important. And it was always about being one with your family, always trying to connect, always wanting to be together, and whenever you do have a good time. So it doesn't matter about, what I'm feeling about you at this moment. We're still family and we're supposed to, get along together. You're supposed to love one another. And he would always tell us about, um, now, if you talk about your sister, that's fine, but don't let nobody else talk about your sister. You know what I'm saying? So you're supposed to always be your sister's keeper, your brother's keeper, different things like that. But those are like the uncles that I definitely look up to for sure. But yeah, and if we're talking about aunts, it was like Aunt Barbara. I always thought she was rich. Aunt Merlin, she was good too. But yeah, those were my uncles, and I learned a lot. I looked up to them a lot for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, number one out the family, it was Uncle Kenneth. It was Uncle Kenneth, and for the reason Misha, my sister, described, family, regardless. Family is family. Family is everything. You loyal to your family. Sometimes you get into it. You might not agree. You can agree to disagree, but you never leave the side of your family for nothing and for no one. And that's what I believed. That's what I believe. That's what I stand on. And Uncle Kenneth taught me that. And that's on my mom's side. On my dad's side, um, Uncle Ricky was really smart. Loved Uncle Ricky, Uncle James. But for me, on my dad's side, it was Uncle Greg for
I
me.
knew you were
It
going
was
to say
Uncle
Uncle
Greg for
Greg.
me.
Uncle Greg was
It
cool
was Uncle
though, for
Greg.
sure.
Yeah, growing up, Uncle Greg, he was athletic. He was breaking basketball backboards. He was popular. Everybody, like, he was this humble person. My Uncle
Yeah.
Greg, in my eyes, he was this humble person that everybody was like making a fuss over. And he was never like, yeah, I'm him. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
never.
He was always just like, yeah, he was like this humble person that everybody looked up to. And later on in life, Uncle Greg, like he was a business major.
hmm
So great with money, great with saving. You know what I'm saying? And
You remind
yeah,
me
it was
of Uncle Greg too. Yeah, your mannerisms, as far as like Uncle Greg, it's the same. Very like down to earth, very humble. Never get the big heads. Very athletic, very slow, just like Uncle Greg.
ooh,
That I mean, your rush is still slow, and so you definitely remind me of Uncle Greg. I remember Granny would always talk to Uncle Greg. Hurry up, do this, do that. And then she would always talk about how he would eat his cereal with his hands like this, and he would have like the biggest bowl of cereal. But that was always Uncle Greg, and he was the baby. And
right.
so you guys you remind me so much of him for
Yeah.
sure.
And that makes complete sense because you remember even when Cam was growing up and playing the basketball, growing up, stuff like this or whatever.
Mm,
And at that time, when he was growing up, you know what I'm saying? I'm still, our age gap is what?
a lot.
What is
Not really.
Bo's 42. You're 24.
So the age gap.
12?
It's a few years.
Yeah,
Quite
yeah,
a few
but that's
years.
what I'm saying. In that period, when Cameron I'm talking about before
Mm.
elementary, I'm talking about before junior high basketball and stuff, like summer basketball, him playing basketball and stuff. And at this time, I'm doing whatever I was doing. I can recall because people used to think Cameron was my son.
You love that.
And I did. And I was like, I used to tell him, I used to be like, say, Misha, Cameron took all the good parts from me and left all the bad ones away because, I would say that because, me growing up, you know what I'm saying? And not to say like we had a great family,
Mm,
but sometimes we choose to do what we want to do and that leads us down roads that we shouldn't go down. But
mm,
sometimes the very things that we do, like it's for a reason. Not only for us sometimes, but it's for other people to be able to help somebody because you went through something. And I didn't look at that when I did it, but I can look at it now as being out of it.
Mhm.
So I would always say Cameron's like, he's like the best part of me. Like he got his own style. He got his, you know what I'm saying, his own style, his mannerisms, calm and cool, like Uncle Greg and all that. But I never saw him like act up. I never saw Cameron act up or cuss nobody out or fight or I never saw him do none of that. And if somebody told me he did it, I wouldn't believe it. And I fight you if you say he did.
Well, fight me, okay?
Not you, but you know, that's
I'm
just
just
what
playing.
that's honestly what I believe. Like Cam couldn't do no wrong to me when I was growing up. To me, I had to second guess it. Y'all had to show me the tape.
I understand. I get it.
It's crazy too, because I remember telling my mom, I was like, Mom, I ain't never gonna get no tattoos. I ain't never gonna do none of that. And then I just remember looking at Uncle Bo, and I'm like, ah, that looks really cool. But I waited till I got out of high school. Then I got my first one, and after that, it was
over.
Yeah, it was over.
Jesus.
But I got another question.
Mhm.
So back to the generation thing.
Uh-huh.
Say, for instance, y'all are my age.
Mhm.
Do y'all think y'all could live in my generation right now?
Yes.
If you okay, you say yes.
Mhm.
Do you think that, like, would you do anything different?
I would a lot.
What?
'Cause, you know, we have social media and stuff now. Like, how would you how would y'all handle that if y'all was in this age right now, but y'all were 24? Both of y'all were 24.
Okay, so okay, first of all, if we were your age now with the same parents or with different parents,
No, I had the same parents.
Okay.
Would it be different?
it would be the same.
You think so? With the social media and how the world is now, you think it would be the same
With my dad?
with the way kids act now?
Okay,
That don't
but
matter. Oh,
with
that don't
my
matter.
dad,
That don't matter.
Respect,
tell me what do you think? If you had my dad as a father, at this age right now, and Ronnie or Ronald Whitaker Sr. was your father,
Oh yeah.
what would happen?
Not the papa that you see.
Nah.
Absolutely, I'm
I
talking
was
about the
one you
dad.
heard about.
That part.
No offense, I was scared of her when I was a kid. I can't imagine Papa.
So just said that's what you're supposed to have. You're supposed to have that.
Yeah,
Tell your little
it's
tail up.
it's the fear. I mean, like I respect my daddy, and like I feared him at the same time. But it's like time changes. Just because time changes, I don't feel like you have to evolve with time. And I know a lot of people say like well, time changes, you change with time and all that. But if everything is going around in a circle,
Mm.
what if I stand still while this circle is still revolving and I'm still the same person I'm still the person that I stand for. If I still stand strong in my morals and I stay the same and time just changes,
Mm-hmm.
what then? What if I don't? Just because like how time is going and how people is crazy and how people will do this and how people will do that. What if my morals is telling me to wait, pray, be persistent, be on time, be responsible, don't feel entitled or try not to be entitled? What if my morals, if that's what that is, and I'm standing on that and time changes, does that change me? I don't think so.
That you would be considered a good person, opposed to people that are not so good, or opposed to people who are out here just doing things, or beating up old people, or stealing and robbing and all the things. You would be considered a good person because that's what good people are. So you can find a good person. They have good morals. They do all the good things. They do all the right things. And so you don't have to move with time, but eventually you will. There's not one person that does not move with time. We all change. And so with age, we change. With times, we change. And you may not change your morals, but you're going to change something about you.
Right,
Or you're
right.
going to change, something's going to change. And so you cannot stay in the same position that you were in and think that you're going to survive. You cannot, because you have to start rethinking things and invent different ways to kind of do things or whatever. Because if you're staying right where you are for the past 40-something years, time is going to leave you where you stand.
Right.
So you're gonna change something. You may not never change your morals.
Yeah.
But you're going, but something about you is definitely going to change.
Oh, and I
But
completely
if
agree.
you keep the same morals, then yes, there's nothing wrong with that, because my dad is 72. He still has the same morals.
Still got the same
But
moral.
he's definitely
Changed.
evolved with time.
Yes.
But his morals are cutthroat and still the same.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by that, because like right now you don't see relationships like Papa and Granny
Right.
back like right now, like that.
Right.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
It is.
And then just like when I talk about the generational thing, it's just like y'all being older, but them, I guess you could say they would be their age as well. That's why I was going to ask y'all that question, because like do you think it would be any different? Because like there, say for instance, okay, everybody's around 24, y'all 24, and they're their age that when y'all were together that time. Right now, that's
Right.
what I'm asking.
I think that, again, I will answer the question. My daddy's morals will still be the same.
Well, yeah, the morals, but
yeah, but
everything
will
else,
he
though.
evolve with time? Of course he would. But you will still get your butt beat. You will still get told this, that, and the third. You will still get a job at 16. There's nothing about that will change. You may see him out here cutting a rug, whatever the case may be,
that's
because
right.
that's daddy. But morally, no, he will still be the same for sure.
Yeah. I
He
think-
may be a little bit on that social media thing. He like on Facebook. He's 72, so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But other than that, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. He gonna still be spanking grandkids and telling us what we need to do with our children. That is just who he is. Mama too. So no,
Yeah.
morally no.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, with morals, I think my daddy still has the same morals. Mom still have the same morals and stuff like that. But if you recall, I said that we're our parents at different times, right? I remember a time where I wasn't doing exactly what I should have been doing, and daddy, he wasn't okay with that, and mama was really like understanding of it, which she probably shouldn't have been as understanding about it, but she was. But I had got upset about something. And the way my daddy looked at me when I got upset, because I'm saying something and I'm mad, and when I turned around, I looked at daddy. But I was still thinking of what I thought. But I'm grown now, though. I'm not a kid. I'm grown. And I looked at him, well, barely grown, 20-something. And I looked at him, and I had this frown on my face, and my daddy looked at me. He was like, "Oh, you think you bad? Oh, yeah, you think," what did he say? He said, "You think you bad? You think you can whoop me or something?" I was like, "Nah, that ain't even where I'm going. That's not where I'm going with that. It's just that I was upset and I was angry at that time. And I've, even growing up, I heard stories about my dad, of me growing up. I never saw it. Like I said with Ryder, people can be able to tell Ryder this and tell him this and that or whatever, but he'd be like, "I don't even recognize that person. My daddy never treated me like that." With my dad the same way. Stories that I heard about my dad. I heard my daddy used to fight with a smile on his face. I heard that my daddy's hands used to sound like the bass of a drum hitting somebody's body. I heard all that, but I never seen it. Never, ever once seen it. See my daddy fight somebody with a smile on his face.
I bet you seen him beat your butt with a smile on his face. I bet you see that though, didn't you?
Not with a not with a smile. But look, that's the difference. That's the difference.
For sure.
Daddy, you know, I can count on my hand how many times daddy with me.
I know, Bo. You're
Twice.
special.
2 times.
You're spoiled.
And the second time he had to catch me, but he caught me.
You're a junior. We know.
You know what I'm saying? But
We know.
that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one more question.
Mhm.
So you had us when you were younger,
Mhm.
and you had Ryder. How old were you?
When I had Ryder,
Yeah.
37.
Okay, 37. So I'm gonna ask you 1st.
Mhm.
If you had Ryder when you were, let's just say 25,
Mhm.
like, how would you cope with that? How would it be different than it is now?
25. If I had Ryder.
Or just say younger. We just go younger. You don't have to go
Okay.
25. Just say younger than 37.
If I had Ryder younger than 37, I figure like it would probably be maybe the same. If I had him in my 20s, he might have been like he might have saw some of the me growing out of the out of my stage of acting crazy, my stage of um, blowing things up into proportion. He might have saw some of that and been able like, oh, my daddy this, my daddy this, but I don't want him to see that. You know the dynamic of me and my nephew Deano, right? We're 7 years apart. So I was 7 years old when he came into play as my nephew. So I was doing whatever I was doing, and the environment that he was around is whatever was going on, and it wasn't that good. You know what I'm saying? But my oldest nephew grew up almost like my younger brother, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
That dynamic.
Okay. And I'm glad you said that because now that made me think about something. So would you think that would be good for Ryder though to
If
see
I,
you evolve and change into something different? Would you
hard,
think that'd be good for him?
hard to say for me
Yeah.
because I know how much I blow things, or I used to blow things out of proportion. I know the things I used to do. You know, being in different predicaments and dangerous situations and doing this and doing that. So for me, I don't think it would be better. For me, I think it's my change, my me evolving from it's pretty good. It's pretty good because he ain't never saw me do no blow up. Like my son has literally, even though I drink and I've occasionally smoked before and all that, my son has probably never actually saw me drunk or saw me smoke even when I smoked. He might have saw me smoke a cigarette or something like that. But in my recreational, I don't think really my son's really seen it. So no, I don't think it. I don't think
And you,
Mhm.
Miss Kim,
Yes, sir.
so you had us. How were you when you had me? 25, 26?
24.
24. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you would have had us at a later age, would anything be different?
It would be a
How
lot
by how
different.
you brought us up and stuff like that?
Um, Probably so. It would be. I think that if I waited until I was a little bit older to, have your sister brother than you, I feel like you would have seen a better me and less of a damaged me. And not that I even showed that to y'all, but I feel like my communication, my emotions would have been a lot better where I would have been um more well rounded with like trying to teach and different things like that. And so I feel like even in this generation or being older, having you guys, I think that I would have made you earn more opposed to giving more. So yeah, I think I would have been a lot better. I think I would have made you guys earn what you received and kind of go from there. But I really do. I think it would have been that much. So still the same love, still the same little pops and nose and grounding and whatever. But you would have to earn the things that you receive from me, opposed to me just giving them. For sure.
Well, that's all I had for today. Anybody else got anything to say?
No, I don't. Thank you for leading the podcast today. You did a good job. No, I just again just reiterating, generational gaps. It is a thing. So you just kind of take the good with the bad and keep on moving. But you just gotta keep doing what you do. And even though time changed, morals and different things doesn't have to. I feel like even as a young mom having young children, I feel like I still instill those good morals into you guys. To make right decisions, your word is your bond. If you commit to something, go ahead and get it done. We don't quit. We play things through, just different things like that. And I feel like having morals and high standards for your children, regardless if it's in this generation or the next to come, I think that's a good thing to do. And I feel like, honestly, mamas, daddies, make these kids earn things. We have to stop giving them a lot because I feel like if you make them earn the things that they're receiving, I think that they appreciate them a lot more. Prime example, your brother. I've given him like 2 different vehicles, and every last one of them we had blown up with because of motors and different things like that. But because they were given, they were not appreciated. but now you have a car that you pay for and
Mm.
you try to semi keep the maintenance there. You know what I'm saying? So that was a lesson to me. Stop trying to give them things and make them earn things. And I think honestly that would be a better route. And they appreciate things a lot more. Just me.
All right. Well, back to you, Miss Kim, to close it out.
All right. Bo, did you have a positive that you want to give someone out there today? Someone in the newer generation versus the older generation, me, where you are in the middle. Actually, we're sitting in proper stages. Older, middle, and younger generation. Any advice you want to give somebody out there in that, to a parent or to a youngster?
Yeah. Only thing I would like to say is, don't be in a rush for things. Don't be in a super rush. When you're going too fast, you tend to miss the process. You tend to miss the lesson.
Mm.
You don't. You can't appreciate the journey if you're missing things. Take your time. Be accountable. Be accountable for your own actions. Know that no one owes you anything.
Mm-hmm.
Be you. Be kind, and just treat people the way that you would like to be treated, and that goes a long way.
It does. So, as we're getting ready to close, Kim, I have anything that you would like to add? You were the one who hosted the podcast today, but is there anything that you want to say to your generation of people, people that are a little bit younger than you, that, you know, any advice you want to give? Because you are very mature for your age, I feel. You're 24. You run around here like a little old man, but you know, you take care of things, your bills and different things like that, and you don't really ask for anything.
I would just say, shoot, times change, people change, but you know, like y'all were talking about, the morals, if you stand on your morals pretty much,
Yeah,
keep them the same, and then, you know, just evolve to a better person.
absolutely. But yeah, for sure. Anybody else have anything they would like to say? Everybody's good? Feel good? We all right. All right. As Papa used to say, I look good and I smell good. We all right. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching another episode of the Let's Talk podcast. We are very appreciative and thankful for our hosts on tonight, Campbell. And we have many more to come. So stay tuned, honestly, for Cameron and his own little podcast. And that will be announced a little bit later on. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like our content, please give us a thumbs up. And until the next time.